South Australia will retain its border restrictions with areas of New South Wales after a meeting of health authorities chose not to adopt Victoria's more relaxed stance on those COVID-19 restrictions. Joel Philp has the details.
South Australia is staying strict on their hard border with areas of New South Wales. Health authorities decided here in Adelaide today to remain firm on their plans to wait until the end of January before making any changes to those restrictions.
It would roughly be at the end of January if all went well in New South Wales from this point onwards.
Greater Sydney, Wollongong, the Blue Mountains and the Central Coast in New South Wales are still under hard border measures imposed by SA. January 25th was flagged as the earliest date SA would open up to these areas. There is a caveat on that date, though, that there would need to be no new community transmissions for a fortnight for the hard border to be lifted. But with 7 new cases listed over the weekend in New South Wales, SA's Police Commissioner said that although SA is keen to open the border, the safety of South Australians is his overriding priority.
Obviously, the clock restarted on the weekend when these new clusters were identified, so SA Health are working with New South Wales Health to get as much information as possible so we can make our changes as early as possible. The current cluster they're dealing with, that I believe is now 7 cases, is obviously of concern, but until they have the epidemiology of all of those 7 cases and manage those close contacts, we're not in a position to actually make any changes.
The South Australian Premier also said today that he doesn't expect borders with those areas of New South Wales to be opened up anytime soon because of this string of new cases. Premier Stephen Marshall has his eyes set on a successful festival season for SA, including the Festival of Cycling, which kicks off this week, and the Fringe Festival, which sees thousands of Australians flock to Adelaide through February and March. Getting the timing right on lifting those border restrictions could be a make or break choice for the festival season, which is expected to deliver a much-needed financial boost to the CBD.
The Adelaide Festival, the Adelaide Fringe, the Festival of Cycling, WOMAD. These are major employers here in South Australia. They bring a lot of people in from interstate. We don't want to go a few days early and put all of that in jeopardy.
The Premier was also asked about whether South Australia would consider the New South Wales proposal to require proof of vaccination for some high-risk venues like pubs and clubs. He said that proposal hadn't been considered yet, but would likely be on the table at some stage. Joel Philp, Sky News in Adelaide.